Well, Knowledge Forum is the online environment that supports knowledge building. It's another area for students to put their ideas, to play with ideas, for them to develop their ideas, and to support knowledge building discourse. So there's a variety of assessment tools that teachers can use on Knowledge Forum that can help students and teachers sort of take a bird's eye perspective of what's going on in their dialogue. So how can we look at this sort of complex knowledge space and look at it from a higher level and discuss where are the big ideas, where can we go next, are we advancing, where are my students progressing? To access the assessment tools, you just go to the top right.
Tools.
To Tools. And you'll click on that. So we'll look at lexical analysis first. What you can see is if you click onto it, right now just an empty dialog box opens, but we're looking at your human body view. So we can start typing in some concepts from the curriculum that you want your students to be using. So like you can use system if you want to type it in, and then we'll look at it. Let's see, click count word occurrences. And so what you see on the left is the words again. You'll see how often they're being used, and then the source notes. And you can see in each note how many times that particular term is being used. So you can see whether your students are using key concepts in their dialogue. So what you do with the scaffold tracker, it's just going to give you an overview of all the different scaffolds your students are using. So you get sort of that bird's eye view of the discourse moves that are going on. So you can just click. You can't really see the entire list here, but yeah, there's a little list of all the different scaffolds, and you can click on them.
Let's do them my theory.
Sure.
And then do I hit count scaffolds?
Yeah, you can do more than one, two at a time, so you can compare. So this tool, like all the tools in Knowledge Forum, we're really trying to build them so that students and teachers can use them, so that it's not just for a teacher to reflect afterwards, but you can look at it together as a class or students individually to help understand what's going on in the dialogue. So you'll see their vocabulary getting richer as it goes up. Lexical analysis too, you can see the terms, you can hear your students using those terms when they're in their knowledge building circle, but it's another way to trace it in their writing, right? And then the scaffold support tracker can help you decide as a group what you should do next. Like you heard you say today, we're going to use a scaffold that we've never used before. And that's just to get more diversity of contribution. The theory is that the more diverse a discourse is, you know, I have a question, I have some evidence, I have another challenging piece of evidence. The more diverse, the more likely you are to be able to advance it further. So there's a basic search that you see up here. If you you can type in one of your students' names. Okay, and then click go. So you can see here all of his contributions, and
very helpful.
so you can see all the different types of contributions he's making, the scaffolds he's using, the different artifacts. You can also notice actually when you're looking at your vocabulary growth, you'll see that you can look at it monthly and weekly, and for your database, month 1 to month 2, it was, I think the total words went from 1,000 to 2,000. So there was an increase in the words, but 2 to 3 went from like 2,000 to 5,000.
Wow.
So as your students are getting used to the process and used to the program, and when you break that down weekly, it was even like you could see in the week, it just boomed. The messiness is sort of like the first level process, right? All of those ideas to get on there first, and then what can we do to move things forward? And you have an interesting, can you read your second line here?
It says, for example, scientists believe that your digestion starts with your mouth, and I agree because the brain sends messages to the mouth to break down what the person is eating.
So before the digestive system even works, your brain has to send that message, right?
To your mouth to break it down, yeah.
And how did you know that that's what scientists say?
Because I remember we went on a trip to the Science Center this Tuesday, and we had this lady talk to us about that, and I thought that maybe I could use it for Knowledge Forum in one of the scaffolds.
So your teacher asked you today to use a scaffold that you didn't use often, right?
I already did my theory, and there's like, did you know? So like giving someone information that they might have not known. And this is a new one I did, which is what do you think about my knowledge? And there's a decision, like making a decision, telling pretty much people in our class the decision we've made about the human body and how it works and stuff.
Okay, and do you think, are they useful for you?
Yes.
Yeah? Why do you think they're useful?
Because they kind of tie into what I've been thinking about and what I want to talk about with others.
Yeah.
what my friend said is, I want to know why, when you smoke for a period of time, why your lungs turn black and affects your breathing and also affects the amount of air your lungs are able to hold. And I thought that that was a promising idea because it was like a very interesting question that I never thought of before. And when I read it, I really wanted to learn more about it and understand why. I went on the internet and I wrote in the same question, and then I read the information that it told me, and I changed it into my own words, like explaining to her why it turns black.